7:30. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's April 24th, 2024. It's the Inland Wetlands Agency of the Town of Woodbridge. Special meeting agenda for this evening. First item on the agenda, Paul Mortensen, 911 Baldwin Road, application for detached two-car garage. If you want to just come on up and sign in and just sort of briefly tell us what
He doesn't have to sign in.
You know him.
I know.
Okay, fine. Okay. You can sit down, though. You don't have to stand. If you want to just sort of tell us what, I mean, we have a copy of the map, and Chris took some pictures, too, to give us some perspective. So just briefly tell us what you're looking to do.
Sure. I moved to Woodbridge 13, 14 years ago to 911 Baldwin Road. My wife and I have since had twins. They're now 12 years old, and as we're beginning to collect sports equipment and thinking about cars and whatnot down the road, we have outgrown, I think, the current footprint, and we're looking to put a detached two-car garage on the property, and hope that would help decompress a little bit of the current two-car garage.
Okay. And it's a fair distance from the wetlands, from what I can see, correct? It's
It is
62 feet or something like that, yeah.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's inside. You can see. I think it's also near or even further past where a test pit had been dug as they were evaluating where we might put a backup septic system on the property, and that test pit passed. So it seems to me that it's even further away from the wetlands than the test pit was. So it seems to me that it would be going into a location that seems pretty safe.
Yeah, and from the pictures, it looks like it's a grassed area already at the end
That's
of your
correct.
current driveway. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Chris, any comments or thoughts you have on it?
I don't think there's any concern. If you're comfortable delegating this to me, that would be fine. The picture that I showed, boy, really speaking well this evening, with the vehicle showing in it, that's where the garage would be. So it would extend into that turnaround a little bit and
Yes.
then behind it. So what you can tell is behind there's really a ridge between this area and where the wetlands are. So the proposal, I think, would be just to have me meet Paul and his contractor out there. So you're just excavating for a footing foundation. So we'll figure out what we're going to do with that material, if it's going to leave the site. I don't know that you'd use it on site.
I'm not sure, but I figure
Yeah.
the contractor and I would talk with you
We'll talk
about
about
that.
it and whatnot.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or issues with this? No, it's pretty
Yes.
straightforward. Good.
Thank you. This is the first I've seen in a while where our map shows the wetlands in the approximate area according to the town's GIS system. You know, ordinarily, we rely on a soil scientist to flag the wetlands so that we'll know where that upland review area is. So that's I just
That's
wanted
not,
to
that's
make
not
us.
on his property.
Excuse me, let me just finish. So I just wanted to make us aware of the fact that, I don't know if that's a major concern or concern, but, Chris, did you want to say something?
Yes, I did. It's not on his property, so he doesn't have the right to access onto that.
But that doesn't mean we don't have a right to know how far we are from the wetlands or where the actual upland review area is. I mean, so there's got to be some.
If he doesn't have permission to go onto that property, which is Regional Water Authority property, he doesn't have permission to go on it.
Right, no, I know that. That's a separate discussion. But so what does that do to an applicant who wants to build on his or her property where the wetlands are on an adjacent property? How would we know how to evaluate a plan or where the upland review area is if there was no access? I mean, just it's perhaps an academic discussion, but it's a real point to be made. So, I guess I still stand on that point. Is where are the wetlands and where is the actual upland review area?
Well, I guess the answer is that he'd then have to rely on the map, the wetlands maps that the town has, unless the town unless the adjacent property had been flagged for a different reason at some point in time, you know, the applicants don't have, I mean, even if we assume that the wetlands go up to the property line, based on the topography, it looks to me that the garage construction at the higher area, there's a there's a higher area between where he's building the garage and where the wetlands would be on the adjacent property, from what I can see on the pictures. So the pictures help in that regard.
Certainly, that would be some barrier to
Yeah.
runoff or so. But I guess the way I'll resolve it in my mind, Chris, is I might ask you to, whatever extent you can, to confirm out in the field that the depiction of the wetlands appear to be accurate on this map, so that,
And I can do that because I was out there today and I could see them.
based upon the contours and such.
Based on
Good.
the contours of the
So,
map, yes.
I'm satisfied with respect to that.
And is the flow, Chris, from the smaller wetland area there to the larger wetland, you know, or
It flows
to the east?
to the east,
Okay.
because last month we had done a shed at 909 Baldwin Road, and so that wetland wraps around, and this is the wetland that contains the Wepawag, and then it feeds down. So this is a finger that comes up, and then that wetland wraps around and then ends up down in the reservoir that's down next to Derby Avenue.
Okay. All right.
So that's one of, so that was one concern I had. Another concern I had is, I'm always on alert when I see proposed location of something without, any real measures or so. But I guess because we do have at least, let's call it the close corner of the proposed detached garage, so I guess I could assume then that the building will be situated. What is that distance from the house? You able to read that?
Looks like 17.
17 something?
Yeah, 17.8 maybe, I don't know.
Okay. So certainly hold that, because any deviation would bring you closer to the wetland area. So let's just be mindful of that. And then,
Well, plus he's also constrained by the fact that the existing leaching fields are to the right of the garage, so he really can't bring it any closer to the house. And then he has the reserve field on the other side, so you know, the garage is pretty much stuck where it's shown, so.
Yeah, I had worked with Quinnipiac on that as
Yeah.
far as where exactly could it be, and they said that Quinnipiac felt that location was optimal, so.
Yeah.
and then a final point I had is with respect to the driveway. Is that already existing?
Yes,
Okay. Is that bituminous, is that asphalt?
yes,
Okay. So you're not going to add any more driveway?
no.
In fact, it looks like he's gonna lose a little corner, so. All right, okay.
Thank
Anything
you,
else?
Mr. Chair.
Yep, no problem. Anybody else have any other questions? No? I think suggesting to delegate this to Chris probably makes sense. If you, do we have a motion to delegate it?
I'll make a motion to delegate.
Jack moved. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Dave seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So what we did, rather than have to have you wait till next month for us to decide, because we can't decide tonight, by delegating it to Chris, she can issue a permit as soon as you and she get together and finalize things, so.
Great.
Okay?
Thank you
All right.
for your input.
Good luck. Yep, take care now.
Yep.
Okay, moving right along. Next item on the agenda, Alan Levy, 57 North Pease Road, application for addition to residence. You want to just come on up and, Chris, you don't need him to sign in, right? Because,
No, I've been out to his house, we've met.
so if you want to just briefly tell us what you're planning to do here.
Sure. Thank you, everyone. So I'm looking to build an addition onto the existing structure. As you can probably see on the plan, it's about 24 feet by 26 feet in the direction towards the wetlands. You can see the wetlands have been flagged by David Lord, and I think I included the report by him. The addition structure is going to contain a garage and a bedroom and bathroom on the first floor, bedroom, bathroom on the second floor. Just so my parents have a house in Florida, and when they come to visit, we don't really have room in our existing house, so this allows them a place to stay when they come visit their grandkids and me too, I guess. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't know if you have any questions about anything I submitted or concerns. And I included photos too, so you could see it's about, I would say, from the existing structure, it's about 80 feet to the wetlands. So it'll be about 50 feet.
And it looks like it's an area that's already
50
part of
feet.
your lawn, basically.
Yeah, it's basically all part of the lawn right now.
We did discuss, when I went out to the site, whether or not the material might be used on the site, and it might be, but that would be part of something that we discussed when we were out there. There are some, it's not a golf course, it's not perfectly flat.
Yeah.
So, mainly in an area that's away from the wetlands would be, I believe, where you were talking about, closer to your neighbor.
In terms of, well, they might need to just use some of the fill they
Back in
removed
where
to
you-
kind of level out where the slab's gonna be.
Okay.
So it would just kind of go back where,
Yeah.
it was removed from.
So would the addition be
On the-
basement plus 2 stories on
Yeah.
top of that, like it's, like the house is now?
Yeah, it's kind of match the existing facade.
It looks like there's a garage underneath at the location where you're adding on. Is there be another garage, or is it?
Yeah, that's not very usable. It was built a long time ago, and we don't put any cars in there because it's too
Okay.
small. Or a car in there because it's too small. Usually the lawnmower goes in there.
Okay.
But yeah, that would be the plan.
Okay. I don't know, anybody have any other questions? This seems like something we could delegate to Chris also, I would think, for, go ahead, Stephen. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I just had a small concern. So I read Mr. Lord's report, but I could not pinpoint where the wetlands are on the maps or where the flags are. So is this another one of those situations where the wetlands are on somebody else's property? Or?
No, I can revise the drawing and call out the individual flags if that's preferred.
Tell me, did you generate this drawing?
Yes, I did.
Are you an engineer?
Yes, I am.
A physical engineer?
I'm a PE. I'm not stamping that, but I.
Okay, well, thank you for thank you for producing this. Can I ask you to come over here and at least show me just by pointing where the wetlands are?
Yeah, I thought that I did call that out, that there's a green line on here that calls out the approximate location of the wetlands boundary. All the flags are at where the vertices are for the lines.
Okay,
So this is where the flags are. I mean, this is approximate also, because I use the GPS to
Okay.
locate the flags. And
So,
then-
all right, it's interesting. I'm glad, thank you for humoring me on that. So, I was interpreting that line as the 100-foot upland review area. So this is actually the wetland boundary.
That's the wetland
Okay.
boundary, correct.
So then, let's advance the discussion. Where then, so I guess we do not see where the upland review, the 100-foot upland review area is depicted on the map. That's correct.
That's correct.
Okay.
I can add that if that's preferred.
Would you? Because
It-
that
sure.
would improve my understanding of your project.
Yeah, I mean, our existing house, I think, was within the 100-foot boundary right now. It's the scale, so
How far would you estimate? How far would you? Would you make that statement again then? Now that I understand where we are, so how far would you say the closest corner
you
to
don't
the
mind
house?
me taking,
Yeah,
so
would you
I drew out the 75-foot.
What's
This
this
is a 75-foot radius right here.
What's this distance?
So
Edge of the house.
this is 75. That's about 80. Well, sorry. This is 75 for the well. This is 24 feet here. So.
And here's a large store.
Yeah, if I had a scale on me,
Ta-da.
What are my skills at 120?
120.
So where would the review area
About,
be? That arc?
the review area, it would be,
100 feet.
let's say,
Sketch on some arc, I guess, so that people could see.
like,
So the middle of your living room is
yeah,
that one
pretty
100
much.
foot,
You could
okay.
say it's somewhere around here,
Okay.
right?
So in the end, what do you estimate the closest distance from the corner of your new addition is going to be to the wetlands?
40 to 50 feet.
Okay. Thank you for going through that with me. Would you give this over to Chris, by the way?
Oh, yeah, so,
That's 40 feet. All right.
thank you.
All right, well, knowing that, what's the, Chris, do you know what that topography is? Does that slope down from the?
When you look at the upper portion of the plan that you have, there's
Yeah.
the topography lines are shown in there. So it's flat. There's a little bit of a slope right behind where the addition would be, but
Okay,
then
I
it's
see that.
perfectly flat between, and then there is vegetation between where the grass lawn is and where the wetlands themselves are.
Fine. All right, so, proper sedimentation erosion, so, so something else we might expect to find on a professionally produced plan are
Yeah, we talked about that.
sketches of the sedimentation and erosion control measures?
We had talked about adding that, and we just talked about, I guess, kind of discussing what to put in. I think I had that on the report, where I
Right.
said that we would discuss the proper erosion sedimentation controls.
You have some appreciation of that?
Oh, yeah.
Being
yes, I understand.
Good
I
stuff.
was thinking of putting on the, like, silt sack, well, not silt sacks, but
Silt fence.
silt fence, yeah, there we go.
Well, you
Drew in a
uh,
blank,
one
but yes.
must, yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
you
But we
must.
were talking about doing possibly like the straw,
The hay
Maybe
bale
the hay
wattles,
bale
yes,
lots,
it's
okay.
flat.
All right,
Well, that's something you and Chris could work on in the field,
Yeah.
because it's almost more important to have that, actually, we get plans a lot of times with a silt fence line that isn't in reality where it should be, and it's easier to locate that when you're actually out in the
Yeah.
field with Chris, so.
And in
It-
this case, where there's really a very good established lawn out there, I'm thinking that the hay bale wattles may be more effective in the long term, because with silt fence, you really have to dig it in,
Yeah,
and then it disturbs it, so
yeah.
this,
Mhm.
the wattles have been working in some locations, so.
Question.
Sure, go ahead.
I just want to clarify that, the vegetation that's at the edge of the lawn, which shows us some shrubs and trees, that would not be disturbed at all.
No,
That would be good.
yeah, no, there's a grassed area.
There's a big space,
There's a
yeah.
big space that's grass that.
Well, that's another good thing. Okay, I'm good.
Anything else? Otherwise, maybe we'll suggest that we delegate this one to Chris also. Stephen, you all set? Yeah. All right, do we have a motion to delegate this matter to Chris also?
so moved?
Stephen moved. Do we have a second? Josh seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? You heard my spiel before. This just saves you a month, basically.
all right, well, thank you very much.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll see you again.
Yep.
Has some very friendly chickens roaming in there.
All right. Oh, I lost my agenda, whatever. Here it is. Okay, moving on to old business. All Habitat Services LLC, 16 Sunbrook Road. This is the continued application for dredging of the pond, which was pushed off to this month because it's activity in wetlands, so therefore we can't approve it as soon as you get as soon as we receive the application. So, are you here on that, or are you here on something else?
Yeah, no, I'm here.
If you want to come up for a second, I don't know if we have anybody have any other questions regarding this? I see in the minutes, I wasn't here last month, but I saw there was some discussion of this and explanations and that. Anybody have anything else they need to ask or talk about?
Pretty thorough last time.
Yeah, it looked like it from the minutes. Yeah.
I have a question,
Sure.
actually. I'm confused about how much cubic yards of sediment would be left after being dewatered?
Right, so.
It says 120-40 in our minutes.
122.40.
Yeah, so with the
Well, that seemed
consol-
backwards to me. I guess you usually start the lower number and go up, but
Yes.
120 is correct.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
with the consolidation, so when the sediment gets dredged, during the dewatering process, it consolidates down.
Okay.
So yes, so
Oh, okay.
the least amount is like the actual dewatered sediment that will be left over. the
Okay,
spoil.
after the water comes out of it then.
Yeah, exactly.
It's basically a silt sack, so everything
Yep, comes right
comes
out.
out,
Yep,
and then what gets left in the sack is sediment.
yes, yep.
Any other questions? I see we learn something all the time. So.
This application was very well done.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? Okay, do we have a motion to approve with usual stipulations and giving Chris some latitude as far as, final field decisions?
Also move.
Jack moved, do we have a second? Dave seconded, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions? You're all set.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Have a good evening.
As far as like permits or whatever.
It will get mailed to you.
Okay, perfect. Awesome.
Certified mail, please sign for it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ross. Have a good
All
day.
right, have a good night. Moving along, Woodbridge Office Contractors LLC, 75 Beecher Road, application for construction of driveway to access site. Yeah, this is the reapplication because for a permit that's expiring. There was discussion last month. Jim Preddy we sent it him to review. He sent back a note, and I think Chris mailed it to everyone, basically saying that.
see it.
Oh, you did?
Did it come just before our meeting?
Yeah, this afternoon.
What was the substance of
Well,
that?
this after, hold on, I can pull up on my phone.
Yeah.
He said cool beans, it's okay.
He said he recommends reapproval.
Yeah, let me just, I'll show you. Too many emails today.
Just short.
Right.
He apologized for not getting it out sooner, but he's been in court. Well,
It's not a good
personally.
place to be, even for attorneys. Oh, hold on, where'd it go? I know I saw it this morning, or this afternoon.
I didn't print it out, I read it.
I saw it.
Oh, okay. If you want, it's pretty simple.
You want to read it out loud?
Sure, yeah.
Couldn't hurt.
Even with my new glasses again. I
Put it to
reviewed
use.
I've reviewed the file of materials with regards to the property referenced above, which is the 75 Beecher Road. I would recommend reapprove the application with the understanding that all conditions of approval from June 16, 2010 still apply. So, that's-
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, David. So, given that, anybody else have any other questions or anything we need to talk about on that? So,
You know, it's interesting. You weren't here, but maybe you were. I don't know.
I wasn't here for that.
Okay.
I was here for the first one.
All right. Yeah, I had some concerns because, Chris, maybe you could help. I had some concerns because the driveway was going to be.
11 feet plus 2 on the
Yeah,
shoulder,
but
so-
we could. But it. Was it straddling the wetlands and?
It has 3 small wetland crossings.
Yeah, the crossings, and we couldn't, in my mind, my instincts are, we should see that. We should site inspect that, see what the crossings are. Neighbors came, interested in the matter, and I asked the applicant if, because that's just what I'm accustomed to, from years on another commission, is, I would require that the homeowner, that the property owner stake out the center line of the driveway so we could see where it's going and how it crosses the wetlands, where it crosses the wetlands, to what extent it crosses, because the map was crude. So I was hesitant because of some ambiguities.
Yeah, if I remember right from, 2010 or whenever this was approved, we did all that at that time.
Okay, well, that's
because-
some good background.
Yeah, no, we had him stake the center line. I remember walking up the hill next to McLaughlin's property.
I'm feeling a
where
lot
it is-
better now.
Yeah, no, I think we covered that issue pretty well way back when.
Okay.
Because Reese, who got the original approval, typically did a fairly good job of everything. He was very thorough, and Al Shepard was the engineer at the time, and I remember walking up and looking at it from all the way up on the top of the hill, basically, so.
Good, I'm satisfied with respect to that then, thank you.
Sure.
And it was noted, one of the concerns at that time that Bob Criscola had was to make sure that the actual work could be done within that narrow
Yeah, the 20 feet.
20-foot width.
Off of
And
his
so
property.
the applicant had submitted a letter from a contractor indicating that while it would be challenging, it was possible to do it within those confines.
Mhm.
Because when the neighbors came in, their concern
That's
was,
right.
you know, was it going to go over onto their property? And Steve had even mentioned, you know, were there any slope rights that were needed and whatnot? And so back in, when the original one was done, there was a letter of confirmation that the work could be done all within the
Envelope.
20-foot.
And just keep in mind too, that you need 50 feet for a road, so the most they could do is a house on the thing. It's not like they could put a road up through. And Schaefer's owned the piece that abuts on Twinbrook, so it's, I can't imagine they're gonna do anything major other than build a house there someday.
But,
perhaps.
you know, but I guess my concerns went even deeper, you know, I'm satisfied at the moment, but what types of crossings? Because we didn't see in the plan, you know, is it gonna be culverted? I think,
The original plan, I think.
were they gonna be bridged? In fact, one of the neighbors even asked that, with respect to the first crossing at the road, so, my concerns were a little deeper, but if the commission passed on them so many years ago, then I think, I'd be hard pressed, the commission might be hard pressed to win on an appeal if, nothing has changed.
Right.
And we took an alternative action.
Yeah, I mean, they provided for galleries to catch the runoff that would come down from the driveway.
The side profile that was shown to you on sheet, I don't know that this has a sheet, but at the bottom of the first sheet, it gives you a profile of how it would go, and it shows the 24-inch by 18-inch side-by-side galleries going under the initial crossing, and then at the lowest point at the back, because then there's a pipe that's carrying water too. So
This-
the details for construction of the driveway are at the bottom of the sheet.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of, you know, Bob Crisco and now Jim both passed on the design, and I typically defer to them since.
And then there's further design on the second sheet of all the catch basins that would be used, the detention galleries, what they look like, their inlets and outlets.
Thank you. Then, may I make a motion to approve?
Okay, sure. Approve the permit with the
To re-
prior
redo.
conditions, yes. Do we have a second?
Sure.
Josh seconded, all in favor? Aye, opposed,
I mean,
abstentions?
if there's any concern about this driveway, is that if you really had to get a fire truck down in a hurry, you'd have a problem.
But that's
But it's not our
a
problem.
wetlands issue, yeah, when he
If
goes
I
to
was
pull a
gonna live in
building
that
permit.
house, I'd be concerned.
Yeah, and the town, the fire department may
Yeah,
have,
It's not my,
Issues.
there's nothing I can do about it, or should do about it, but
well, they'll need to
But where we
construct the driveway before the fire truck can even get there anyway, so we'll see.
Maybe they should bring the marine unit just in case.
Yeah. Or maybe they'll have to come in from Bruce's house and go the other way, so. Anyway, all right, thank you for that. Let me just see what else I have here, so I just buried the agenda. All right, that's it for old business. Enforcement officer.
That's me. So we've got a bunch of different things to go over. I've been out many times to the pond on 28 Buxton Lane, so I'm showing you some pictures. So the first two pictures are taken today, and they are showing that the pond is probably at its lowest that I've seen it since December. You can see
the
there's a
famous
tree
exit?
kind of in the middle back here, and the water's really dropping down. And in the other picture, there's a clearer picture of the concrete device here, and so it's well below, you know, it's probably the lowest that I've seen. So as expected, with the leaves coming out and transpiration starting to occur, and we haven't had 12 inches of rain in a month, that it's handling itself pretty well, but I'll continue to go out there pretty much, I've been out before any storm that we've had, any significant waterfall, and then after, just to see what's happening.
Thank
What's
you.
been fun to note is that there have been turtles. There's a big
On
log
the
there,
structure?
and the turtles are on the, no, not on the structure. The turtles were on the log, and so that was kind of fun, and there were trout lilies, and so, you know, it looks pretty good. Before I forget, one thing I want to mention is that we did have a phone call regarding trucks that were parked at the Assumption Church. And part of it was nothing to do with wetlands. The thing that dealt with wetlands was, as a side to that, not to do with the trucks themselves, but that's how it precipitated the conversation, was that there may have been new lights installed on the lights that are in the parking lot at the church, and that there are wetlands that are in the area, and the concern was that some of that lighting may be flooding into where those wetlands are. The person who called does nighttime bird watching, love owls and other things, so he's out at night, and just wanted to bring it to the commission's attention. I'm not normally, although tonight it may be dark enough for me to go look and see, I'm not normally here when it's dark, so I haven't seen it, so, you know, I'll try to go by that way on the way home, but if somebody else wants to take a drive by and take a look at it,
I'll do that also.
and then we can go from there. It may be a simple thing of just having shielding put on the lights or something like that.
Or they
Clearly,
left
we
on
don't
all
want to
night.
see lighting going into a vernal pool area.
I don't think so. I'll check later on tonight. Are they on all night is what Jack asked. I don't think so.
I think so.
Oh,
Well,
really?
at least late. I don't know how late,
Okay.
because I
If
try to
it's
go home.
LED lighting, for the sake of discussion,
Yeah,
it's a much narrower spectrum,
yeah.
and.
And, you know, I don't know what
It
the
might
some,
be that the lighting, whatever it is, even if it spills, doesn't help the plants, because it's the wrong frequencies. I don't know, you know.
I don't know
But it's
either,
not
and
a
I haven't
trivial
been able
question
to
to
see it,
answer.
so I'm bringing
Yeah,
it to
yeah,
your
yeah.
attention, because if somebody's in town when it's dark, and you can go take a look-see, then we can go from there.
Right.
So that's that. And then the last thing we've got, and I've given you a copy of an email that I wrote to the chairman today. I've been continuing going out to 106 Seymour Road. And I gave you some pictures taken today of 106 Seymour Road. They still haven't accomplished, the original map, which is here, and you guys can look at it, shows that the swale that goes underneath the driveway is supposed to exit above the ponds, the smaller ponds. I don't want to put around. So, you have two,
If you guys want to come around so you can see.
you have a smaller man-made pond here and a larger man-made pond here. This one has a wall all around it.
Yeah.
That's the
And
lower one, right?
This is the upper one.
Yeah.
The lower, this is Seymour Road here, so this is the big pond, this is the little pond. So the way the swale was done is it came underneath the driveway and it went directly down into, this man-made pond. Currently, the swale has filter fabric in it and rock. So, didn't have that before, so we had some storm events where it was coming down and there was some siltation that occurred in here. Exiting from here, and I'm not sure how it exits exactly, I haven't seen a pipe, but the water exits from here and then feeds through this little wetland corridor that you can see here and goes into the storm drain here. This is, every time I've been out there, it flows, so there's water that's kicking through there. But importantly, while there's sediment you could see up here, there hasn't been any sediment that I can see down in here. And this is stony. I think one of these, maybe I didn't print this today, but there's stone in here. It's a pretty shallow stream. It's
not
maybe a
this, is it?
couple
It's
inches.
probably-
No.
Yeah, it's not.
And I didn't see any sediment in there. And more importantly too, I went across the street with my life in my hands, 'cause traffic on 67 is not fun, especially when it's coming by and the rails are there. And there wasn't any sediment that I could see on the other side. So this is a disturbed area, there's no doubt about that. When I was out there today, and the developer has apologized for this guy that he hired, that he was trying to help, who apparently doesn't know how to read plans. So, what they were doing today was working on raking this so that they can put down grass seed, and they're gonna put down hay, so that the disturbed areas in here will be hayed and seeded. Meanwhile, down in here, in this picture, what you can see is a trench coming down. When I first went out this morning and I stopped, I thought, what the heck are they doing with this trench? But when I went back and met the contractor, the developer, this is a trench to do underground electrical back to the house. And so what they are going to do is put in a new pole, because this pole is kind of old.
That's this one here, is that the perspective?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're gonna put in a new pole next to there, and then carry the water, or, yeah,
Electricity.
once they, they're gonna put in a new pole, do the electric to there, yep.
Yeah.
No, that's the footing, this
The
is the
footing
roof drain
Oh, okay.
going into the swale. So, when they do that, once they do that, then they're going to redirect the swale that was improperly installed back to where it's supposed to go, so that it disperses above the pond and short of the pond. In the interim, they had also taken, which isn't shown on here, a curtain drain that was going around the back of the house, and they carried it just short of the pond here. When I first saw that, I said, what the heck are you doing? You know, this thing was just, it was like a foot up in the air and water was pouring out. So they did put riprap at the end, and I said, no, everything's supposed to go into the swale. So once they do the corrective work, that pipe is gonna get directed back into the swale where it's supposed to go. And then the roof drains will go into the swale where it's supposed to go. And then this will be reworked. Now, in the interim, you thought he was being good, and as you can see in this one, he removed the sediment that had been in here with a machine. And I said, no, you do not do that. So he's gonna stop, he's gonna submit an application to you guys to clean the pond. The pond is pretty shallow, it's got a lot of organics in it that you can see. And I've given him the contact information for Southwest Conservation District, because they helped with the dredging of the other pond over on Sunset, so I thought maybe we could get some really decent plans because of that. So he's gonna submit an application for that. I told him, don't do any other cleaning in there right now, except that he's gonna go in, he's buying some waders, and he's gonna go in and remove some brush that's in there. I said, you can go in there with waders on and remove the brush. There's some logs that are about yay long, and it's gonna pull out. They've been there for a while because they've got some pretty good fungus growing on them. So he's gonna do that, but he will submit an application to you, because the original plan that we had didn't have any work being done in that pond. So, for me going out there, and I've been out there any number of times, there was silt that was accumulating in here periodically in some storm events, because this was disturbed out here but fairly flat. There was runoff that was coming out, but there's no collection of sediment down in here, nor is there any collection of sediment in the driveway per se. Much different than when we had a house up the road where there were no wetlands on the site, but the site was being disturbed where they were grassing it, and we actually had about 5 or 6 inches of sediment in the road, which was getting into the catch basin and getting into Bladen's on the other side. So that's why I was paying attention to what I could see or not see in terms of the rocks that were, smaller rocks that were in here that would catch sediment, to see, is there anything really going in here? So I didn't see anything in there. I've been taking pictures every time I go out to monitor that part, just to kind of see what's out there, similar to what I did with
28 Foxton. I now wave at all the people who walk up and down Foxton, and whatnot. So that's as much as I have to tell you at this point.
So is this something they created here?
This,
I'm sorry, I'm confused about, is that what
this
this
is the
rocky-
swale. This is the swale that they put in. And
Okay.
the,
Okay,
so they had the swale come all the way straight down and empty into here.
oh,
And originally, it didn't have, you can kind of see in here,
Filter
there's
fabric.
filter fabric. And it didn't have the filter fabric, it didn't have the stone. So when it rained and we had some
Oh, it was
rain
just-
events that were heavier, there was some sediment that carried down into this first pond. But as I say, the good news is that I can't see in being out there, now that it's gone because they dug it out, there was a pile of, and I have pictures of the pile of silt that was in here. And it was maybe yay deep and probably that long, you know, the island that you could see in there.
oh boy.
But that doesn't seem to have migrated through the stone wall, however it gets through that, and into the stream corridor here, and then under and into the big wetlands, which is on the other side.
So this
of
is
the
the misdirected swale, right, that went to the pond, or
Oh.
is that what I'm looking at here?
road. Yeah, the swale is coming down, yeah. He's piled some dirt at the end of it, so what he
Yeah.
was gonna do is take the excess that he's pulled out of here, and, because this was shallow, it was only about, it's, when I was out there this afternoon, it was probably only 8 wide. So he's gonna pull that other material in, so we'll have at least 8 or 10 feet of material between the swale and the pond. But as soon as he can get the electric work done, that swale will get done, and that will get done in a day's time, because it's not a big deal to do. One thing he did mention, and I could see it when we were out there, in the trench that goes between the house and where the electric conduit has to run, there's a little bit of rock, maybe 3 to 5 feet, and he's gotta bring in a pounder to break that up, to be able to get into the depth that he needs to get the conduit to be building code compliant. So, he's gonna bring that in. I don't know that it was coming today.
This is what he pulled out?
That's the, you can tell
From
it's a
here.
much darker color, the
Yeah.
organics that are in it. Yeah. So these are the little logs that I'm talking about, and the brush that's in there, and he's gonna go in with waders and pull that out. And I said, you can go in with waders, but I don't wanna see a machine in there.
He dug it out because.
That's where the sediment was.
Oh, he's trying to get rid of the sediment,
And
and
there
he
was
allowed
also
to.
a large, part of a tree that he took out with a machine and put in the dumpster that's on the site.
This is the telephone pole,
That's the telephone pole. Yep.
that's here, oh my goodness.
So these
There's a lot of
pictures,
digging going on, yeah,
there's a lot of stuff going on.
yeah.
Do you think the limit of disturbance was what they respected?
No,
Yeah, I don't either, from looking at the pictures.
no. And quite honestly, this is showing stuff that's in a sense more vigorous than what was out there, because I was out there before he started building
Yeah,
the house.
it looks like there
Because he
wasn't
had
that
some
much stuff
material,
out.
and then a lot of it, you were out there looking at it before we even got to the point of issuing the permit, and it was kind of scrubby in
Yeah,
there.
but it wasn't disturbed,
No,
Wait a minute.
but he built the house.
Yeah, you gotta dig a hole.
yeah.
So, the
It was
area,
like this, it was, there's,
right,
stuff
so
like-
he's putting stuff back, you
Yeah.
know, he's,
Mhm.
it's got a lot of.
And you're
work
on
to do.
top of it.
so,
Thank you for alerting us.
he's, you know, I have him on speed dial or speed, whatever.
This isn't much of a silt fence here.
That what's out there at the moment needs to be upped, but we don't have any rain in sight for another week or so. And he's working that area to be able to get the thing that has to pound the rock
Ah,
to get out the thing. So, you know, I drive by, I come in that way
yeah.
and whatnot, so. I said, don't ever hire these people again, do not go in, I mean, when I went out this morning and I saw the stuff mucked out of the pond. Because I was there over the weekend and it was sitting there in the pond the way it's always been. I was like, what did you do? And that was my first words to him. I said, what did you do? Anyway, that's all I got.
That's
And,
enough.
it's a challenging site, there's no question about it. But as I say, having seen how much sediment was up the road from that one, site that we had that was no wetlands on it, where it eroded into the road, it certainly isn't perfect, but it's not as bad as I've seen, which doesn't mean that we should get bad to begin with, but
Well, it sounds like he's at least being cooperative, so it's not like we have to
cooperative.
file a cease and desist, you know.
I mean, it's aggravating in the sense that it's taken this long to get, it's been well over a month that they've been asked to get the swale in the right position. And when I went out and saw that trench coming down, I was like, oh my God, what are they doing now? But I didn't see him when I first went out, so when I went back, he met me at the site and then he explained that that's what that was, which made sense.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks. I have a couple thoughts on the project. So I pass this every day, a couple times. And this site was in very bad shape. Very bad shape. This site is more than 3 acres in size. It drops 100 feet in elevation from the back to the front. And there were no sedimentation and erosion controls over almost the whole 3-acre site. Until at the very bottom, at the trenching area you saw here, and then there were failures of the silt fence down there. Been cataloging the site for more than a month. I have pictures of regrettable conditions out there. So the site attracted my attention. A couple things I note out that happened out there that are of concern to us still is I'm pleased to hear that there's going to be an application to remediate that, what's called the upper pond. Because that pond was severely impacted by the construction here. This entire site was clear cut. I have pictures from 2020 of the site treed. The entire site was denuded of trees, save a few. But so our town's GIS system identifies a tributary, a stream feeding into the pond that I can't locate anymore.
It was hard to find when we did the site visit, very hard.
So it appears to have been, so I wonder if it's been filled in, because the area now is completely flat. I see none of the contour lines that are depicted on the town's maps, and again, that water course is gone. So,
I think it was very intermittent.
okay. So that's something I noticed, is that kind of a changed condition.
Yeah.
And then, so you were out there today, thank you. On the drive home tonight, I happened to see that the son of the builder did indeed buy the waders, and he was in the pond today, up to his chest and waist, hand pulling out things. So I was pleased to see that, because before that, that pond appeared to be a collection area for chipped trees. The pond is 40 feet by 60 feet. Almost half, a little more than a third of it was filled with, wood chips and stone. I mean, I got pictures of it over a month's time. So it went from this to today's this, or yesterday's this pulled out. So the point is there seemed to be little regard for that natural resource there, that whatever was stockpiled when they cleared the lot was just placed in that pond, and so that was really regrettable, because, and I have pictures of the whole pond silted up brown too, from all the runoff from the entire site. So I'm really pleased to hear that we're gonna get, I mean, I've got pictures of the silt running into the pond, and the regrettable thing is now we have algae mats and vascular plants, you know, just completely invasive, taking over the area. So I don't know what the condition of this pond was beforehand, but it's in pretty poor condition now, I suppose as a result of its treatment during the construction. So, you know, I mean, all this here, this entire mass, you can see stone dust, all wood chips, I suppose, that's all been gone. It's all was taken out within the last few days, and as Chris noted, probably by a machine, because I happened to see a machine in the area. You know, that should have been by permit. This shouldn't have happened in the first place.
Right.
And then, of course, that self-help probably should not have happened. So, you know, I just regret. So it was, you know, my opinion is this was terrible because our commission is better than that, and this big property in public view is an eyesore. It remains an eyesore, and it has been an eyesore for some time in violation of a number, you know, of some good best management practices on site development. So even now, we have stockpiles of dirt at the edge of the wetlands that have no silt fence around them. They've been there for at least a few days. So,
Well, I think Chris has gotten their attention at this point, so.
yes, but I just wanted to bring the history of the property up, and
I have been out there repeatedly.
so I wanted to bring up the history of the property so we have some idea of how it came to be.
Sure.
You know, it was, you know, it's a shame.
Yeah, well, hopefully by next month we'll have the pond, you know, application.
I
so we
doubt
can-
that it'll
we can-
be in by next month, because this is a late meeting, and so I don't think.
Oh, that's true too, yeah, I
you're
forgot
gonna
about
have
that, yeah.
that. But if you looked at the other pond that's there, it's got the exact same green stuff going in it that this small pond has in it.
The small pond, yeah, that's there. I might expect that because that's more of a you know, a settling.
No,
I'm not
that's
really
another
prepared to
man-made, that's another man-made pond.
I guess I'm not prepared to discuss that at the. I just don't know enough about it to engage you. But
Okay, and can you do me a favor the next time you go out there? Don't tell them that you're the enforcement officer.
I didn't tell him I was the enforcement officer.
I was told by several people that you said you were the enforcement officer.
I only saw two people there. The developer himself and his son today are the only people I
I'm
ever
not
saw
talking
there.
about today, I'm talking about all your
No,
prior
I
visits.
mean
when
all
you
my
were out there.
visits. All my visits. Those are the only two people who actually came up to me. And no, I would never tell them I was with the developer. The older gentleman asked me if I was with Catherine, misunderstanding your name. In which case I said I'm with the commission. But yeah, it is an untrue statement to say that I misrepresented
I can only
myself.
tell you
Why
what I
would I
was
do
told.
that? I'm on the
I don't
commission
know.
as it is. Why would I need to misrepresent myself as an enforcement officer? So,
Well-
that's upsetting, I suppose. You know, from the developer's standpoint, but it is what it is.
I would appreciate it if you would let me be out there. I understand that you're out there to look at this, but it's my understanding you're out there every morning and every evening, and that you've been in the house.
I've never been in the house. Never. Why would I have to go in the house?
I do not know. This is
We're
what I've
we're
been told.
wetlands people. There's no wetlands in the house. So, again, I think something. Obviously, no one's happy that I have taken an interest in the property, but I felt it was necessary because those conditions were
I welcome
persistent.
any of you to go drive up there. The site is not entirely denuded.
Right, well, hopefully.
And the stockpiles that are there, stockpiles, if you've been aware of this, don't move.
No, but they get rained on, and
They get rained on and they don't move.
But we ordinarily have sedimentation erosion controls around stockpiles. It's just
And they're new
they-
stockpiles, as you just said, and as I just said, there is no rain coming, and they're going to be working that area of the site because they're going to be completing the work that they did in error.
I understood all that, but I just, for me, if I were a developer and as a wetland person, you know, when I think stockpile, one shouldn't have a stockpile unless there is sedimentation erosion. It's like if A, then B. So I don't know why we were, you know, so I've said my piece. I'm just glad that the site is coming on more closely under our regulation.
Hey, Chris, well, you may want to suggest them. I guess my only concern on this cleaning out the smaller pond is that even if they don't have an application that's complete for May, maybe they should submit something just so we can receive it, because we can't act on it until June, even if they give us something
Right.
in May, and then we can tweak it, and you can work with
Okay.
Deb to refine it for June, so that we don't end up having to have a special meeting
Meeting
sometime in
in
July or
April.
August, you know,
Certainly.
so.
And I can give a call to Chris Sullivan, not me,
Yeah,
the one at
the other.
Southwest Conservation
Yeah.
District, and ask him if he can, how quick, I don't know how busy he is.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, he may be able to give them some advice to
I mean,
come
it's
in with
not a
something
big
better, so.
thing, it's contained, it's got walls all
Yeah.
around it,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, it looks like the walls are falling, the pictures, the walls are
Yeah,
in
I mean, he wants to
disrepair
make
too,
this
so.
house as marketable as he can, and he thinks that this particular pond, which is visible from the house, would be a selling point for him, and whatnot. But I said, do not do anything in that pond until you've submitted an application
Yeah.
here.
Well, so we have several converging things that hopefully will make this thing come together
Yeah.
and clean up, so.
So, that's where we are.
All right, thank you for that. And I'm sure you will stay on top of it like you do.
And my car knows how to get there.
All right, let me see, what do we have left? I think we have minutes.
Yeah, Jean, did you get to read any?
I did,
Okay, Jean, you have the floor.
okay. On the third page. Under the South Central Connecticut, the first line under the underlined portion, it says request for ruling the agency. I think there's a word missing there, should be from.
Yep.
Okay. And then I was confused about what sections we're talking about, because in two places it's two different numbers. Down in the, in accordance with, in the part about.
The
says
application, the request was submitted under section 4.1E. You make your finding
Okay.
under section
I sort of
4.4.
vaguely remembered that, okay. In the first paragraph, there's the word lever. It should be letter. You see in the third
Yep.
line down?
Yep.
I would add the word it in the second dot after the word that. I think the immediacy of the project is that it is being funded by, and current is spelled like the fruit instead of current.
It was a
And-
fruity project.
And the two times.
You were
the word-
hungry at the time, Chris.
I have a currant bush at home.
In that line, it says capital with an O, and 2 or 3 lines down, it also has an O, but I think it should be with an A.
Capital?
Capital with an A
As
for
in
a
the
budget,
building.
right?
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
capital with the A is money, yes,
Yeah.
always does.
Building.
I'd take the comma out of the, after the word root ball in the third dot, but that's maybe just a stylistic thing. And the only other thing was Von Tonder was spelled with an A on the last page.
Isn't that nice?
Thank you, legal line.
Those are my picky things.
Okay.
Okay, we thank you.
Just little funny.
Can anybody else find anything?
We challenge you to find anything.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be my
Okay,
pleasure
we-
to learn from what I've missed.
No, it's, you
Somebody
haven't missed
read 'em.
anything. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes with Jean's corrections?
So moved.
Oh,
Well, whoever.
Josh moved, Jack seconded, all in favor? Aye, opposed, abstentions. All right, anything else we need to talk about this evening? Okay, then do we have a motion to adjourn? It's
So moved?
Stephen moved, do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
David seconded, all in favor? Aye, opposed, abstentions, we're done at, looks like 8:30, so. Thank you, everyone.
Good job. Thank you.